Good morning, Bahamas. We're coming to you live from HMBS Coral Harbor for the official changing of the guard here at the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. On your screen, they announced recently the arrival of the commander for the Defense Force, Dr. Raymond King. Now we know that he will be exiting his position here serving at the base, but all preparations are in place for a new Commodore. So what you will witness this morning is an historic moment at the RBDF. The baton is about to be passed to Commodore designate Captain Floyd Moxey as he steps into the new role, taking over from Dr. Raymond King. Now, joining me now on the broadcast this morning is, of course, the Executive Officer of the Central Command, that's Commander Origen Delaveau, and Force Chief Petty Officer Rory Adams. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jimenita, and good morning, Bahamas.
Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this is an historic day. We see the arrival of a number of dignitaries for a special moment here at HMBS Coral Harbor. So talk to us, Commander Delaveau, about the significance of this morning's events and some of the aspects that will take place this morning.
Well, let me say good morning once again to the Bahamas and all of our viewers, and welcome to the official changing of command between Commodore Dr. Raymond King and Commodore designated Floyd Moxey. This is indeed an historic event. Military organizations all over the world, when they are going through this event, this changing of the command, this marks the transfer of authority and responsibility from one commander defense force to the next.
And we see right now on the screen, he is about, that is Commodore Dr. King will receive a salute.
Yes. Well, Commodore King, of course, would have served 38 years.
Yes.
And Floyd Moxey, of course, would have served
Century 11.
Yes, and so he is now mounting the dais for an official final general salute, and thereafter we will await the arrival of other dignitaries to arrive here on base.
Now, what does this mean for you, Chief Petty Officer Adams?
This is indeed a historic moment in the journey of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Some of us would have had the opportunity to witness approximately about 4 or 5 change of command, ceremony, and divisions. But this one is particularly significant in that Commodore Dr. Raymond King, I think we all could understand now, he is known affectionately as the People's Commodore. All right, Dr. King has led with vision and full integrity, and held the standards of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to the highest degree. And so we are happy for his service, and we are happy to see what's to come with Commodore Moxey.
Another significant aspect of this, Commodore Moxey, of course, as a U.S. trained officer, is the first to assume command as Commander Defense Force and receiving the rank of Commodore. It's never happened before, and so this is the first that this is taking place. Historic indeed.
And you will also make the 9th serving Commodore here at HMBS Coral Harbor.
Yes, indeed. And so for those who are listening, unlike the police force, where the commissioner of police is also the title and the rank is Commodore. The office is Commander Defense Force. In the region, it is called Chief of Defense Staff. But here in the Bahamas, the top officer serving in the military title is Commander Defense Force. And so we are witnessing the change from one command to the next. And this is significant, that all of the divisions, or the men and the women who are employed, contracted, will witness who is in charge now. There will be no doubt who is in charge now.
Like we said earlier, the baton will be officially passed in just a little bit of time later on in the morning.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would imagine a lot of preparation goes into these types of ceremonies to ensure that everything runs seamlessly. We know the military often say that they are men and women of time. Well, so we started at 9:30.
Yes, on time.
On time.
We have a saying, if you're on time, you're late, right? If you early, you're on time.
Right.
And so we teach that. It's a part of our culture. We operate in a spirit of excellence, and we have opportunities where we will review and revise events, activities to get better.
And on screen, we see former Prime Minister Christie greeting, well, he greeted some of the senior command, including Dr. King. You see him in the background, shaking hands with some of the, I guess, the senior command here at the base. So we'll see a number of familiar faces over the course of the morning, everybody coming in attendance to witness this historic moment here at HMBS Coral Harbor.
Well, I have personally witnessed, this is my 5th changing of command ceremony that I'm witnessing. And so it is always a refreshing thing, because with new command brings changes, you know, and so the continuity from one command to the next is very significant. All right, and that ensures the ship stays afloat. And so Commodore Floyd Moxie coming in, of course, has already assured us that he brings not only new insight as an LLB.
And we see also on the screen the arrival of the Chief Justice, who also greeted the Commodore, Dr. King.
Yes.
And the Chief Command staff.
And so you would notice that they are wearing gold lanyards, eglets as officers. If you notice that there's a difference between what the enlisted would wear and what the officer will wear. And so the gold egglet signifies who is in charge and their aides.
Right. Okay.
All right. And so you would see the Commander of Defense Force, and notice he wears his to the right.
Yes.
And everyone else wears theirs to the left.
Right.
As you see the Chief Justice making his way, I imagine, to his seat.
Yes.
So a number of persons will be in attendance for this event from various branches of the government.
Yes,
and other invited guests as well.
We have quite a few persons from overseas. We have an admiral here. I'm going to get his name once protocol comes up so we can acknowledge him. But we have persons from Northcom, Southcom. We have, of course, our Officer of Defense staff who are here.
And obviously these are a number of your partners, too, in terms of the work that you do, ensuring to protect and guard our heritage and protect our borders.
Well, they make us better. Yeah, they make us better. We can't do it without our partners. 100,000 square miles of islands, rocks, and keys is extremely difficult. And that porous nature makes it extremely difficult to monitor and manage.
So we see the opposition leader, Michael Pintard, also greeting the Commodore and his aides. So he will do other greetings before taking his seat as well.
Yes.
And we know that the official start time for this ceremony is 10 a.m. So obviously everyone will do their greetings before taking their seat to get started officially.
We are blessed today not only to have a bright sun, and a beautiful day it is, but we have cool breeze here on Coral Harbor Base. And for those of you who have never visited, please, whenever we have events and family fun days and our Christmas celebrations, please feel free to come down so you can take a good look at what this place is all about.
And Chief Petty Officer Adams, I know that you are the welfare officer. I believe that's a part of your duties and responsibilities. So you also ensure that there is a sense of family and camaraderie, especially for the officers that are serving off to sea and
deployed and are on our detachments. We have in the north and the south, we have bases that are manned by Royal Bahamas Defense Force individuals, and hence the travel and be detached from central command here, it requires an absence of that father figure or that mother figure from the family. And so we do have the Family Readiness and Support Office that is there to ensure that the family, even in the absence of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force person, that they are supported at all times.
And that is definitely important. Now, we see a number of officers. Can you give us an idea of who some of these ranks would be as they wait on the quadrangle space?
Well, divisions today is that they are structured and lined up via ranks and rates.
Okay.
Right? And so normally we would have, when we have Commander Defense Force divisions, Minister divisions, or the GG divisions, they would come and the structure would be as it is laid out in the organization, so she'll be able to see administration, operations, and the various departments within the organization. Okay, but today they are lined up via ranks and rates, and so we have the Marine Seamen and the Able Seamen, the Leading Seamen, which are the junior enlisted, and then we have the Petty Officers and Chief Petty Officers, which are senior enlisted. All right, and we have our warrant officers, and of course in front of every platoon is a junior officer. All right, those officers have a commission. All right, and then we see up front we have our warrant officers. They have a warrant. Our commission is extended to every officer from the Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the warrants is extended or provided by the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
And obviously at the gate, I would imagine this is where the Commodore and his senior command are posted.
Yes. And so right to his left, you will see the senior officers. That's from lieutenant commanders and above. They would stand left of the dais. Right, and then, of course, the juniors would stand right of the dais. And so when the
clear authority.
Yes, when the captain comes or whoever's mounted the dais, when they survey the parade ground, they see structure, organization, and order. I call it the so effect.
And obviously, like we said, this is a new chapter, though, so it'll be interesting to see what the Commodore designate has envisioned for his time here at the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Well, so as the command goes, so as the organization goes. This is where all your experience and expertise come into play. But Commodore Moxie, of course, is well trained, and he understands that no single man can do no great thing alone. And so he is already surrounding himself with other experts within the organization and ensuring that they are in areas where they can best serve and provide him with what he needs to continue to lead the organization forward.
And obviously, when referencing the commander-designate, Captain Floyd Moxie, he's viewed as a distinguished Bahamian military professional and legal expert. Over 4 decades of experience in the RBDF, serving in the Office of the Attorney General, the Ministry of National Security, and obviously here at the base services. He joined, like you mentioned earlier, Chief Petty Officer Adams in 311 back in January 1982. So that's a long time, a very long time of serving your country in the various capacities we mentioned.
Yes, he would have served on both sides of the divide. He would have served as an enlisted, and I think he would have, as far as leading seaman or petty
leading seaman, leading mechanic.
And I think he would have crossed over. He went before the board. He was selected to be an officer, and he would have did his schooling at the Coast Guard Academy, where I schooled as well. And upon successful completion, he received his commission. All right, and he has been serving ever since. He is a man of few words, but great action. He talk less, he does more. I know him to be that type of individual.
And being in the Defense Force for such a time as Commodore Moxie, he would have witnessed the total transition of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and so he is in tune to the upward trajectory on the path that the Defense Force is on now, and I'm certain that he would take us to another level as it relates to our military might.
Okay, because I would have said his joining would have been, I guess, around 2 years after the establishment of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And so much has happened from then to now. Even later on this week, we will reflect on the HMBS Flamingo incident. That was a critical incident that happened back on May 10th, 1980.
Yes.
Right.
I think that's right here on Saturday.
Yes.
We will be observing the ceremony for that. is always a somber and a very, very critical time of reflection for us. It helps us to understand why we are here, our purpose. All right, the great visionary said, I see a people's defense force.
And on the screen now we see the arrival of the Deputy Prime Minister, Justice Cooper. He too is greeting the Commodore.
Yes.
And the senior command. Mrs. Cooper joining him as well.
It is always a very significant thing when the government and our colleagues, our partners show up in great support. It shows that there is not only concern but interest in the future of the organization.
We see on the screen the DPM and his wife making their way to their seats. Shannon Don Cartwright, so also greeting the senior command. So a busy day here at HMBS Coral Harbor.
Yes, indeed it is.
But very orderly. There seems to be nothing will be out of place.
There is a 5P principle that we uphold: prior preparation prevents poor performance. This is how the military operates, and we must operate in this type of culture because, we carry weapons. We not only carry weapons, but the protection and the defending of the Commonwealth, the safety and security of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas depends on how well we do our jobs. What the young Marine is witnessing, right, is a glimpse of the future. One of them could one day be a commander defense force. And so they are witnessing this, and their interests, their desire, their passion is being raised. And this is why they must be here to witness. And so this is very significant.
And obviously a number of your officers are very well trained. They travel the world, ensuring that everything is in order in terms of the educational pursuits, talents, abilities. And I know that we are also working on our own maritime academy as well, that I believe you are the president of. So we're doing some wonderful things here at HMBS.
Coming to a Bahamas near you. It is very significant, and this was, of course, one of the passions of our Commander Defense Force, who is, of course, an academia, to ensure that the academics and the learning, all military organizations really are learning organizations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They are always on the cutting edge of technology, and of course, technology helps us to do our jobs better. And so for Marine, the development, the professional development is what helps us to do our jobs better. And so what we will do with the academy, ensure that the paths are clear. Your development paths are clear. Your advancement paths are clear. Your promotional paths are clear. And you could see where you're going. All right? And so this is the intent at the end of the day. You'll hear more about it in short order.
That is very, very exciting. Again, a beautiful day here at HMBS Coral Harbor. We couldn't ask for better weather. Definitely is going to be a little bit warm, so hopefully everyone stays hydrated. But I think it's going to be an awesome change of command ceremony here today.
The Lord, Mr. Adams, Joanita, has blessed us with good weather. There's a cool breeze. And so the sun won't beat on you too bad because of the cool breeze. But I'm observing the tents, and the guests are here. We sent out the invites, and we told everybody, please be seated by 9 o'clock. And so we are thankful that our guests adhere to our wishes to ensure that we have a smooth transition in our ceremony.
And we know a number of other invited guests are still making their way here. We expect to see the Prime Minister, the Governor General, and a number of other important officials. And once we hear the prayer by Apostle Raymond Wells, who is your RBDF chaplain,
Yes.
we know that that'll signal the official start
Yes.
to
Right.
the
Yes.
ceremony.
Yes. Our chaplain, of course, has been doing an excellent job. He's now on his third year, and he brings such inspiration. We have morning colors, and so the ceremony is a mainstay. It is a staple, a pillar within our military traditions. And so every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the chaplain comes on parade, and he inspires us to greatness. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would do colors is every day, of course. And of course, we observe our respect to our country and our organization. And this is very significant because it teaches our Marines why they're here, why they're serving. And so they pay homage. We pay homage to country and God and country every day. All right, and this is why God is inserted in all of our ceremonies. All right, it is Him who has lifted us up. It is Him who has called us. Serving in the military is a call.
It must be. It must be. Just like teaching is a call, I imagine. I agree with you on that one. It must be a call because it requires so much, not only diligence, but dedication and commitment, especially those who go off to sea for such long periods.
Yes.
You know, you have so much to deal with, whether it's poachers or any number of things that you can encounter out to sea. And you, in those moments, I imagine you reflect on, hey, this could potentially mean that I make the ultimate sacrifice for my country.
Yes.
You understand the importance of what it means to guard our heritage and protect our borders. So
Absolutely.
it's a lot that goes into it. So I totally agree with you. It is a calling, not my calling,
right,
but
yeah.
I salute all of you who have made that decision to
We're
serve.
always wishing for more. I must say that we would love more. We need more. But of course, it is a sacrifice. It is service, sacrificial service. I've served 29 years now, and I've been away from my family for quite a bit. You know, I know what it is to be in the high seas and to be gone, and the wife call and something wrong with the house, something is wrong with the kids, and I'm not there, and I have to depend on family and friends, and I've been deployed, and Mr. Adams can
And
say
I
the
was
same
just
thing.
going to
Yes,
go
I was
into
just
that
about to interject
Mr.
with
Adams,
that.
the importance of the welfare
Yes,
aspect.
the welfare aspect is extremely important here in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. We have an obligation to support the serving men and women of the organization by way of any support element that is necessary for them to perform their duties effectively. We've discovered now that through the development of the Defense Force, in terms of where we are now, even our patrols have extended. We are now on 90-day patrols.
That's
and
a
that
long
would make,
time.
that's a very long time. And so that would mean that the family has the absence, experience the absence of that father or that mother, in some cases that guardian. And therefore,
And that's what, 3 months?
That's approximately 3 months.
Yes, and that's afloat. We also have deployments, which is in some cases 4 months and above.
And right now we have our international deployment going on with the Haiti element. So we do have Marines and officers now still in Haiti. And so what we try to do is to ensure some bit of comfort, some bit of support element, and so that they are confident that everything is all right at home, everything is all right to the point where they're able to execute their duties effectively.
A bridge, more so.
Yes.
A bridge and to
And this
remind.
is nothing new.
No.
This is standard operation for military organizations. They take care of their men. They are obligated to take care of their men. All right, and so, you know, when I'm out to sea, I would like to know that my wife, my family is well taken care of. If we're deployed and a hurricane is coming, we have elements here where we can go and help the home. Be prepared for the pending storms, etc. And so this is what we do. We want to make sure that the men are comfortable, not only competent, but comfortable in the execution of their duties. And that's important.
Because if you can't focus, if you're attention is distracted or divided, you won't effectively execute these set duties you're talking about.
You cannot. And Commodore King understood that. All right, and he ensured, that's why he stood up quite a bit of these new departments and new units, all right, to ensure that we reflect a modern day military and understanding how critical it is for the men's welfare and morale to be addressed. And this is important.
And obviously it put into place, we see the Minister of National Security, Minister Wayne Munro, he greeted the Commodore already, but he is taking his position on the side of the Commodore.
Yes. Our minister, Honorable Minister, has brought such a refreshing aspect to the organization, and he himself is highly concerned about the welfare of the men. He comes down every once a year and he meets with all parties and he gets feedback.
Right.
All right, and he prepares for the following year with that feedback.
But obviously he's in contact on a regular basis.
On a regular basis.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, he sees the Commodore, he sees those from the executive on that regular. But, when the men can see their minister,
right,
and can have a conversation with their minister, is always a special thing.
Indeed.
And so he has been doing that, and we are thankful for that approach to his leadership.
The men and women of the organization is indeed, they have extended a great deal of gratitude to the Honorable Minister, sir, based on his style of leadership as it relates to this ministry. He has given opportunities to the men and women to have forums outside of their senior commands.
Yes.
Right.
To definitely express how they are feeling.
And so they're given the opportunity to speak freely, respectfully, but freely, based on what their concerns may be or their issues within the organization. So we must give and extend the greatest gratitude to the Honorable Minister for the footprint that he left, or that he has in this Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
No, we saw a lot of beautiful drone shots from a drone pilot that has showing, we see former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis on screen, former Governor General Dame Marguerite Pinling, a number of dignitaries. We see Hubert Ingram, also Mr. Christie. So a number of persons turning out this morning. But as I mentioned, in terms of the drone shots, we know that a lot of changes have taken place here on the base in terms of development and improvement. I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on that.
It's been tremendous change on all aspects. One of our deputies, in fact, we have two deputies that has been named. One, Captain Colin Bethel, and the other is Captain Natasha Miller.
Yes.
Okay, and so Colin Bethel, of course, comes from the communications branch. He was the officer in charge, captain in charge of the communications branch, and his area is responsible for ensuring that our communications network is improved. Cyber, our drone program, and so we are leading the region in drone technology and training.
Right.
And so our drone academy is one that is well sought after.
And would this have been all possible due to the assistance or the aid of the Sandy Bottom project? Would that have fallen in that initially? Okay.
Yes, initially. And so we saw the need, of course, to improve our intelligence-based patrol strategy. And of course, with the use of drones that can cover more ground, and of course, those assets in the specified areas can then move to intercept what is necessary. But the drone improves our ability to respond to threats in our region and in our. Of course, we have signed our sea training. We have signed partnerships. We have MOUs with Turks and Caicos, and we have persons we are training from the region, Guyana and other places. They've come on board and they've been on board our crafts, and so we're training the region. All right, we have more to do. We are just starting.
And starting a new chapter.
Yes, and so I'm excited about our future. So excited, and I can't wait for the Bahamas to be so proud of what we are doing down here. We have stood up not only the family support unit that deals with the morale of course, deals with our family aspects. We have the morale, and that was a new area that Commodore King would have stood up. We have our ceremonial unit. We have our National Youth Service. So we have Rangers and our National Youth Service. Of course, our Prime Minister's pet program, his baby, our National Youth Guard. That is something that we worked on for quite some time. And Commodore King, of course, would have done his part in presenting that to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister understood how critical it is for us to continue to train our nation's youth and make sure that we leave no youth behind. And so many of them are interested in serving. We just need to give them the tools, a little extra push to get them up the ladder. And so that is what the National Youth Guard is doing. And Captain Sonia Miller has been heading that. She's doing such an awesome job, her and her team, with that. If you look on this base, you will see our medical area. You will see our administration. You will see the pride of the nation. We call it the Defense Force Exchange. It is a military Walmart.
Well, a lot happens here, and I know on the screen we're just showing some reflections of the service of the Commodore Dr. Raymond King.
Yes.
And he has done so much. I know we had an opportunity to speak with him earlier in the week by the rundown with Clint Watson, and he talked about some of the experiences he had and his experience that he had to lean on in times of Hurricane Dorian, the pandemic, and having to shift so much things around to deal with such major.
It was indeed a challenge because he came in right at the end of Dorian and how we were responding to one of the worst hurricane we have experienced in our country's history. And then right on the top of that, right behind that, we would have experienced the global pandemic.
And we could hear from him in his own words about his experiences. So we're going to go to that clip.
Right. Yes.
You haven't spent almost 4 decades in one single organization. It becomes a part of you. My family, basically, all of us were in the military. That's where I met my wife during my 2nd year in the service, and both of my sons are part of the military, one deceased. And so it becomes a part of you. It's a bit bittersweet, but I accept that, and the Bible tells us, for everything under the sun, there's a season. And you got to trust the divine purpose when that season ends. And so I look forward with promise, great promise of contributing, probably even on a grander scale, to development of this country. But it becomes a part of you. We would have developed friendships almost 40 years. And those friendships remain long after we would have exited the service. But I am satisfied given the contributions I would have made, particularly over the last 5.5 years when I commanded the organization. I was very transformative and progressive in my thinking and moving the organization forward. I would have had an opportunity to exercise my agility in responding to Hurricane Dorian, the global pandemic, 2 of the most difficult periods in this nation's history. And I would have really put in significant systems, units and departments that this organization needs. And I always told the subordinates and the commanders that the systems that I was putting in place systems that the developed world and the developed armed forces have that we were lacking. And it was not about me. It's about putting in systems to ensure the sustainability and the success of this organization long after I would have departed office. And so that work is left behind. That work will have to be followed through. I'm sure there are a number of just wishes coming behind me to move those programs through. And as I reflect, more than 65% of the officers in the organization now would have been trained under my leadership during my 38 and a half plus years. And more than 40 officers would have been converted to the officers during that 5.5 year period.
Well, we heard from the Commodore in his own words, reflecting on his experience, the sense of family and camaraderie and commitment here within the organization.
Yes, we are so proud of the achievements and accomplishments. Of course, both Mr. Adams and myself has been a part of many of those developments. As indicated and stated earlier, Mr. Adams heads the Family Support Unit and our Welfare Morale. But I'll let him talk about that morale area, which is very significant to performance in this organization.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force Morale, Welfare and Recreation Unit is indeed an extremely important part of the journey of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. It provides a support mechanism, a constant, consistent, excellent support network for our men and women of the organization. It provides them the opportunity also to perform their duties effectively, knowing that they have a support mechanism that would pay attention to those challenges that they may have. And those challenges, if you know about what's happening now in the world today, some of the things that we experienced 20 years ago or 30 years ago, we have some new issues now. We have to be able to identify when someone has some mental concerns. One time ago, it was normally just financial situations. And so instead of just providing funds for individuals, for example, we provide training in those areas. And we provide forums where persons are actually taught how to budget, how to be good stewards of their finances.
And all a part of the growth of the organization on
Indeed.
screen. We were just seeing some from whence we came shots, I would call them, the younger officers recently joining and the vessels. And obviously we see on the screen the Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis's vehicle is making its way here on HMBS Coral Harbor for these ceremonies as well. So
yes.
A major element, our rival.
Right. Well, as you are aware, it of course it was the government of the PLP, or the PLP government, that stood up this great organization.
The Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
By the father of the nation.
Yes, indeed.
Davis.
Obviously, they just announced the arrival of the Prime Minister here on base. He too will, I imagine, greet the Commodore in a few minutes after he exits his vehicle.
And the Right Honorable Prime Minister has indeed been a strong advocate for complete national development and the security of our nation.
And we see him there greeting. He greeted Commodore King and his aide. And obviously would have spoken to his Minister of National Security, and he stands to his side. So you want to speak to us the significance of their positioning now?
Yes, so they will now stand at the ready and await the arrival of Her Excellency, the Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Very significant because a lot of persons might not quite understand that A military organization, of course, falls there in some cases directly underneath the order of the GG.
Okay.
Okay. That is why.
And she's the representative for the king.
For the king,
Right.
yes.
Right.
And so we are no longer Her Majesty Bahamianship. We are now His Majesty Bahamianship. And so this is very significant. But the government of the Bahamas, under the great leadership of PM Davis, they have been completely supportive of what we've been trying to achieve down here. Commodore King always indicated that to us, and we would have seen that support. And so it bodes well for us in our confidence that any initiative, any project, or any concern we have will be addressed. And of course, it's always a strengthening and a beautiful thing when we know that our leaders are concerned not only about our welfare,
And we see some of the partners under the tent that you mentioned earlier from U.S. Command,
Yes.
North and South, I believe you referenced.
Right.
Let's see. Minister Keith Bell on the screen. And again, the Minister of National Security having a chat, the Prime Minister having a chat with the Minister of National Security. As you mentioned, they are awaiting the arrival of the Governor General, and soon after we will officially begin the change of command ceremonies here at HMBS Coral Harbor.
Yes, our distinguished visitors from the U.S. is Rear Admiral Douglas Schofield. All right, he's here along with his team from the American Embassy, and so we are blessed to have our military leaders, partners here, to witness this tremendous historical event.
The changing of the guard, well, the
changing of-
exchange of the baton, if you
Yes.
think about it.
Yes, it is a, you know, how can I put it? You know, people see the chain. We call it chain of command.
Correct.
And so it promotes the chain. So that baton, that chain, you know, you break that chain, you can't finish the race.
No, you can't finish.
Right?
No.
And so this is ensure that this race continues. And so the changing of the command indicates the chain of command. And so it promotes that.
And obviously, as we mentioned earlier, Captain Floyd Moxie, the
Yes.
designate Commodore, he will mark the 9th serving
Yes.
commander for the Royal Bahamas
Yes.
Defense Force. And obviously, over the course from 1980 to now, we've built a stronger organization. So there's a lot that he had an opportunity to see over
witness.
his time within
Yes.
the organization. But as you mentioned, he served on both sides, so he is able to even bring a stronger sense of, I guess, focus and direction
Yes.
to this organization.
He would have witnessed Commodore Swingley, Commodore Belton, Commodore Smith, Commodore Davy Roll, Commodore Scavala, Commodore Bow, Commodore Tellus Bethel, and Commodore King.
And now he takes
And now
the
Commodore Moxie. And so he would have gotten a little bit of something from all of them, right? And so this is what we are. We are the sum total of those persons who would have influenced and impact our lives. And so that's 4 decades
yes,
that he would
4
have, that
decades.
he would have been here
Complete decades.
and would have witnessed. And being of legal mind, he understands on how things are truly impacted. And then, of course, sitting as the legal aid to the
Just
minister,
a reminder to turn all cell phones
he would have
on silent or vibrate,
understood
please. Thank you.
from
and
a
we saw
policy standpoint.
former Commodore
That's Commodore Bow,
Bow and
Commodore Tellus Bethel.
Bethel.
Yes. You know, we haven't talked much about the policy impact, but there's been great policy changes underneath Commodore King. We came with a gate with many policy upgrades and updates. All right, we have been undergoing organizational policy change. We have had DFIs, Defense Force instructions.
And we see we're preparing for the arrival of the Governor General.
Yes.
He's approaching the gate here at Coral Harbor.
Yes. Yeah, we would have raised and elevated all of our ceremonies, all of our family fun day, our state code, our children's Christmas party,
right,
our band concert, our pre-independence and post-independence was the first time done. Our church services went to another level.
And also our naval traditions in terms of our mess dinners.
Yes, our mess dinners. So for the first time, our mess dinners was only executed by the officers, by the officers' wardroom, and he would have instituted the junior rates mess, and so that was something new. And so
So a lot has happened, and on screen we see the Governor General's vehicle parking for her to make her exit to greet the Commodore, the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, and other senior officers before this official changing of the guard takes place here at HMBS Coral Harbor. I mean, it's been a lot of experience, a lot of key moments, a lot of growth. So it's going to be great to see where you go next in this new chapter.
Yes, I'm Jiminita, I'm excited about our future.
And we see the Governor General greeting the Prime Minister. She's now greeting the Minister of National Security. And she got a salute from the Commodore, but she too is greeting Dr. King on this momentous occasion. So obviously here they would announce her arrival, as we heard, with the musical salute.
Yes.
And we now will also receive the Commodore designate. Moxie should be here soon as well.
Her Excellency will be receiving a royal salute. We will stand by in just a few minutes for the playing of the full national anthem that only she gets.
Yes.
Stand by as Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Cynthia A. Pratt, takes the dais for a salute.
As we indicated earlier, the Governor General is now taking the dais. I think that's what you call it here. She'll get a royal salute, and we will have the full playing of the national anthem.
Please remain standing for the prayer of blessing by the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Chaplain, Apostle Raymond Wells.
Father which art in heaven, hallowed be your name. We, your children, come thanking you for this day that you have made. We rejoice in it. Thank you for this great nation and this great Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Thank you for the men and women who serve in this great organization. We now pause to thank you for the Commodore, Dr. Raymond King. Thank you for his service, his loyalty, his commitment, dedication, and leadership that he gave this people throughout the years. Thank you for gracing him to serve with the spirit of excellence and integrity. Now as he transitions, we pray that you will continue to be his keeper wherever you should lead him, that you will cause him to prosper. We pray your continued blessing on him and his family. Now we bring our Commodore Designate, Captain Floyd Moxie, to you. You have called him to this assignment for this time. Father, we know whoever you call, you equip and you grace. So we thank you for giving Captain Moxie fresh wisdom, insight, vision, and a great team that will lift his hands. We declare and decree that no weapon formed against his life and his leadership will prosper. Now as the Royal Bahamas Defense Force turn this new chapter, take us from strength to strength, from success to success, and victory to victory. By your divine grace, we now move forward, upward, onward together, as we continue to guard our heritage. Bless our proceedings today. Let all things now be done decently and in order. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Let everyone say amen.
Please be seated. We will now have inspection of the Honor Guard and divisions by Commander Defense Force, Dr. Raymond E. King.
Ago, Commodore Dr. Raymond King took the dais for a final inspection. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what we're going to see and unfolding.
Yes, so the Commander Defense Force, after receiving that inspection, he's now inspecting divisions. He's about to take a good look at the men and women officially for the last time. And so he would have promoted many of these men and women. He would have advanced many of these men and women. Some of them were Marine seamen, some of them are now ables and leading hands. Some, when he came, they were petty officers. Some of them are now Force Chief petty officers. And so his leadership has been graced with understanding, bringing value to these men and women. And so as he looks them in their eyes for the last time, all right, I would think that there will be an exchange of gratitude. Thank you for your leadership, sir.
The inspection is also a very important tradition in the military life. It also displays the discipline of the force, and as the commander alluded to, gives an opportunity for brief casual dialogue. The Commander Defense Force, I believe in this moment, will be a significant one for him, because this will be the last time that he take this walk of inspection as Commander Defense Force.
Yeah.
I would imagine it'll be very somber and reflective as well. Like you mentioned, Commander Delabo, he would have promoted a number of these officers, but as he alluded to in his interview earlier with us, he considers this his family. You spend a lot of time, you know, together,
almost
serving, working, learning, growing. It's a lot.
Leadership is all about relationships.
Yes.
And so for many of them who are coming in, they would not have known him as Sub-Lieutenant King or Lieutenant King or Senior Lieutenant King. I had an opportunity to meet him as Sub-Lieutenant King. I had an opportunity to serve as his XO on board craft. We would have served aboard HMBS Yellow Willow together. We would have served aboard HMBS Bahamas together. And so this is very important as he take, like Mr. Adams says, this final walk. All right, and so my inspection of you is my expectation of you.
Yes.
If I may put it in that way. My expectation for your future. As your leader, I would have promoted you because I have great expectations for you.
Right.
And so now that I leave you in another's hands.
And I expect you to execute.
Right.
Yes. And so now I expect for you, as you would have served me, you serve him. All right? And in serving him, you serve God. In serving God, you serve this country. And so that is how it aligns, you know, and that is how things work within this, we can say organization, but organism. We are living, breathing, you know, and so inspections are a mainstay. We do it every day. And we must, because men do what you inspect and not sometimes what you expect. Right? Commodore Bo said that. I can't take that. That's what he said. He left that with us. Right? But it is important for us to understand that relationship between the leader and the follower. You know, and I served as aide. You would see both Samantha Hart, Commander Samantha Hart, and Acting Commander Delvon Duncombe, and you would see Force Chief Ramon Stowe walking with him. They walk with him throughout this entire leadership journey.
Yes, and I think you served 5.5 years.
They would have opened the car door. They would have written speeches. They would have ensured that his flight arrangements were done. They would have ensured instructions was carried out. And so he did not walk alone, as he is doing right now, not walking alone.
It's a team.
Am I right, Mr. Adams?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. It's important to note the Commander Defense Force in his service also gave the opportunity for a lot of persons to serve alongside him. Even though he was the Commander Defense Force, during his time, he provided a lot of opportunities for persons to elevate, like the Commander Delavo was alluding to, persons to experience the highest level of the organization. organization from a military aspect. We have persons that would have embarked on training exercises, and I know we spoke a bit about that earlier, but it's important for the Bahamas to know that the men and women from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force that were part of those international exercises, in a lot of instances, we came out on top. We came out as number one.
Yes.
So we don't just go there to participate.
Trade winds is one of them.
Yes, trade winds
and other courses. But you know, as the crowd looks on, as they witness this walk, I feel the spirit. As they witness this walk, this is significant.
Yes.
Because this is him also saying thank you.
Yes.
Right? Thank you for your service alongside me.
Right.
Captain of Coral Harbor, Glenn McPhee. EXO, Origin Delaveau.
Right.
Right? Rory Adams. The band who has been the face and the sound of this organization. Listen to them as they play, as he takes this final walk. His captains who are sitting down, all of them would have gotten captain underneath him. All of those warrants, we got 2 lines of warrants.
And staying so composed.
Right.
I mean, some may say he was dabbing his brow, but who knows? I mean, I imagine.
They stand in witness. Many of them were petty officers when he came. They now carry a warrant, the highest level you can achieve as an enlisted personnel. Right?
And we see him still greeting a number of the officers.
And I imagine this must be bittersweet.
Yes.
Right.
You know, because, you know, this is truly family. This is truly family. I remember when Scavallo took his walk, Scavallo played the song, I Did It My Way. You know, he echoed that because he was that type of leader.
Right.
You know, and I reflect on that. I reflect on Commodore Bowes. I reflect on Tellis Bethel, and you know, everybody had something different. I reflect on Davy Rolzone. Everybody had something different. You know, but when your time comes,
yes.
Commodore said that he can sleep because he know that he did his best.
Yes.
All right, and I'm a witness of that. We could always want more. We always try to do more, but that much is within our power. All of our effort. The good book said, whatsoever you do it wholeheartedly as unto the Lord and not unto man.
Yes.
And he echoed that. That is why he came up with his strategic theme of high performance workforce. All right, that is focused on performance excellence. Right, and so he ensured that the culture promoted performance, and I am grateful because I echoed that on many occasions, lecturing and promoting the vision. All right.
Also enhancing the atmosphere of this ceremony is the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Band. It's under the direction of Senior Lieutenant Kevin Toot. Right, and this talented ensemble not only provides the musical backdrop for this occasion, but it also showcases the musical excellence that is embedded in not only this military, but in our Bahamian culture as well.
Who you do not see walking with him right now is his deputy, outgoing, Captain Shundle Pinder. Of course, he served as his deputy throughout. And I think Captain Pinder might be seated in the crowd there. I can't see him, but he would have pushed a lot of the policies for Commodore King.
Yes.
All right, and then you have one Captain Datsun. He would have pushed a lot of the policies and financial aspects, and you would, of course, you had Captain Simmons.
And so we see the Commodore assuming the dais again and doing a salute. So that means his inspection is done, and that's the final salute to the organization.
Tremendous. The final walk.
We ask that those who are not the media to not get too close, because there's a lot of crowd on the parade ground. We wanted to stick with just the media personnel only, please. Thank you so much. Please brace yourselves for a dynamic musical selection by a special young lady.
Officers and Marines, we would have had, I think, some 119 officers.
Going straight past this.
Okay. And the remainder, of course, is junior race. The organization is growing. It is under Commodore King. I think under Commodore King's leadership, I think we'd have taken on almost 500 new members. All right, and we'd have trained almost, I think, between 20 to 30 officers.
So a stronger force.
Absolutely.
Command of
Yes. Yes.
Commodore
Raymond Emmanuel.
Yes.
Floyd Marks.
38 years ago.
Yes.
Your path crossed
The work
mine
continues.
in the Southgate area of the Royal Bahamas
I
Defense
have a
Force,
saying, don't get
HMBS
better.
Coral Harbor.
Get better.
You told your
So
comrade
this is
that
what it's all about. So
that lady over there will be your wife someday.
and so all of us, we have an obligation.
It just so happened that a week and a half later, I came across you in the crew's mess of HMBS Fort Charlotte, outside of Gunpoint, Ragged Island. You asked my parents for my hand in marriage. You promised me to see the world. You promised me that the world will know that I am your queen. And for this, I am truly grateful. Thus, today, this is just the beginning. 35 years ago, you took my hand in marriage. And to this day, everything that you would have done would have made me a proud wife. And nothing is ever enough. Trying to hold my breath, let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream in me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand. Will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it will never be. For me Now that's what I call love. After 35 years, never enough for me. I hope my 35th year anniversary, my husband sang that to me. We will now have an address by Commander Defense Force, Commodore Dr. Raymond E. King.
Good morning, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, colleagues, family, friends, and fellow Bahamians throughout the length and breadth of our Commonwealth. I rise before you today as the 8th Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force with a heart full of gratitude and humility to reflect on the remarkable journey that began the 12th January 1987 when I enlisted in this noble institution. My purpose then, as it is now, was to defend and protect the sovereignty of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, a duty I have upheld with distinction for the past 38 years. Firstly, I offer thanks and praise to the Almighty God, whose blessings have been abundant throughout my career. Through every trial, triumph, and transition, I have felt His guidance, and I give thanks for the strength and wisdom granted to me. Likewise, my family has been blessed with His grace and mercy, and it is their unwavering support and divine covering that has been my foundation. Therefore, as I transition from this sustained post as the Chief of Defense Staff, it is important to acknowledge those who would have played pivotal roles in supporting and shaping my journey. I am deeply grateful to Prime Ministers, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis and the Honorable Philip Brave Davis and their respective governments for the confidence shown in my leadership and having the honor of commanding the Royal Bahamas Defense Force for the past 5 years. Further, I acknowledge the guidance and professional relationships with the Ministers of National Security, Mr. Marvin Dames and Mr. Wayne Monroe Casey, which underscored our mission successes in defending and protecting our maritime borders. Similarly, special mention is extended to Senator the Honorable Darren Henfield for his trust in my command and organizational leadership to direct the affairs of this distinguished military, described as the best little military in the world, or as opined by our force chaplain, the best organization on this side of heaven. Amen. Equally important, I extend sincere thanks to my family's religious leaders, whose spiritual guidance has fortified our resolve and protected us during this sojourn. Hence, I acknowledge the prayer covering of our force chaplain, Chief Apostle Dr. Raymond Wells, Pastor Kenny DeVoe, President of the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Pastor Kareem Black and the congregation of Bethany Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the believers of the Adventist faith generally, including Miss Sue Ellen Stewart, my family's prayer intercessor. Also, our relationship with regional counterparts is noteworthy with respect to security cooperation amongst CARICOM nations. In this vein, I extend a deep sense of gratitude to the regional chiefs of defense staff, such as Vice Admiral Antoinette Gorman, Jamaica Defense Force, Air Vice Marshal Darrell Daniel, Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, Brigadier Generals Carlos Lovell, Barbados Defense Force, Omar Khan, Guyana Defense Force, Talbot Benjamin, Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force, Australia Laura, Belize Defense Force, and Commander Robert Scotland, Cayman Islands Coast Guard. In the same manner, I am appreciative for the deepened friendships, relationships, and partnerships with our United States of America counterparts, which includes the United States Northern Command, led by General Gio, United States Southern Command, commanded by Admiral Holsley, United States Special Operations Command North, driven by Colonel Tucker, the United States Coast Guard District 7, spearheaded by Rear Admiral Schofield, the Rhode Island National Guard, led by Brigadier General Shivela, and the Office of Defense Cooperation, United States Embassy, Bahamas, under the leadership of Commander Victor Lang. These partnerships have acted as force multipliers, thus enhancing our capacity and capabilities towards the protection and security of our sovereign waters, of which I am forever grateful. Additionally, I would be remiss if I failed to acknowledge our esteemed National Law Enforcement Agency colleagues, namely Ms. Shanta Knowles, Commissioner of Police, Dr. William Pratt, Director of Immigration, Mr. Ralph Monroe, Comptroller of Customs, Mr. Don Clare, Commissioner of the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, and Mr. Anthony Ferguson, Retired Commissioner of Police, National Intelligence Agency. Of special note, among others, are Mr. Clarence Russell, former Director of Immigration, Dr. Janine Morse, former Comptroller of Customs, and retired Commissioners of Police, Messrs. Paul Rule and Clayton Fernando, of whom are amongst the 3rd and 4th Commissioners of Police that I have been privileged to serve alongside. Their coordinated and collaborative efforts have significantly contributed to the safety, security, and prosperity of this great nation. Moreover, to the former Bahamian Defense Force Commodores, which include the late Commodore Leon Livingston Smith, Commodore Davy Roll, Commodore Clifford Scavallo, Commodore Roderick Bowe, and Commodore Tellis Battle. Thank you for your leadership, guidance, and mentorship. Your individual and collective contributions to the development of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force laid the foundation for me to continue the transformation and modernization of this distinguished organization. Noteworthy are the vessel crews and departmental staffs whom I have served alongside, and eternally grateful for their services and sacrifices. Shipmates of His Majesty's Bahamian ship Nassau, HMBS Bahamas, HMBS Port Nelson, HMBS Yellow Welder, HMBS David Tucker, HMBS Exuma, HMBS P-42, and P-35. Administrative appointments, which comprise Defense Headquarters, Administration, Human Resource, Engineering, Operations, and the Supply Departments. I must also take a moment to express my deepest appreciation to you, the extraordinary men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, to the Deputy Commander, Executive and Command Leadership teams, the senior non-commissioned officers, Marines, Reservists, and Rangers. You have exemplified dedication, discipline, and courage throughout my tenure. You are the heartbeat of this organization, and I am forever proud to have served alongside you. A special thank you must go to the leaders of the National Youth Development Program, the National Youth Guard, the Rangers instructors, and the Parent in Action Group, and Dr. Carlos Reid for your leadership and partnership towards the collective youth intervention programs. Your efforts in shaping the next generation of Bahamian leaders are a testament of your commitment to our future. To the command staff team, aide-de-camps, Commanders Delvon Duncombe and Samara Hart, and Senior Lieutenant Delroy Dennis, Command Warrant Officer, Mr. Ramon Starr, Chief Security Officer, Mr. Frederick Clark, and Senior Enlisted Leader, Mr. Warren Ferguson. Secretarial Staff, Lieutenant Commander Latoya Nottage Brown, Chief Petty Officer Maxian Woodside, Petty Officer Doris Hanfield Hall, and able woman Marine Stacy Johnson. I will forever be grateful for your devotion and dedication to duty and the enormous sacrifices made. Also, the team of security aides and drivers, led by Petty Officers Vernon Charlton and Dershon Sands. Your tireless efforts have not gone unnoticed. I am deeply thankful for your contributions towards the efficiency and effectiveness of our administrative affairs. I would also like to thank the incredible departmental staffs, which comprise the Chaplaincy Office, the Morale, Welfare and Recreation Office, the Protocol Division, Ceremonial Unit, the Family Readiness and Support Office, the Veterans Affairs Office, the Force Inspectorate Office, the Human Resource Department, Staff Intelligence Unit, Public Relations, Crisis Risk Management Unit, Disaster Risk Management Unit, Health and Wellness Sections, and the Accounts Section, among others, within the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Your professionalism and dedication have allowed us to maintain the highest standards of operational efficiency and effectiveness throughout my tenure as Commander Defense Force. To the Brotherhood and the pace setters of New Entry 19, the greatest entry to enlist in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Woman Entry 2, and my adopted New Entry 24, also known as 24 Strong. You have been a constant source of camaraderie and support, and our shared experiences will forever remain a cherished part of my life. As an alumnus of Mabel Walker Primary, class of 1978, H. Nash Jr., class of 1981, C.C. Sweeting Senior High, class of 1984, Success Training College, class of 2001, Sojourner Douglas College, class of 2003. Nova Southeastern University, class of 2010, and the St. Thomas University, class of 2015. I extend heartfelt thanks to the administrators, teachers, lecturers, professors, faculties, and classmates, in particular, the classes of H. Nash Jr. and C.C. Sweeting Sr., for assisting in the development of my academic insights that helped to shape the necessary critical thinking and analytical skills utilized to effectively and successfully manage the affairs of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. By extension, special recognitions are expressed to Mistress Lynette Headley, Mistress Pamela Chandler Burnside, Mistress Velma Curlin Thompson, Dr. Samuel P. Bain, Mr. Cedric Colley, and Dr. Colin Anderson, among other revered lecturers and professors. To my childhood friends from the Black Belt communities of Big Pond Subdivision, Black Village, Bain and Grantstown, Coconut Grove, and Yellow Valley Gardens, thank you for your lifelong friendships and for grounding me in the values that have guided my life. In particular, Senator the late Rodney Monker, who served as an advocate, big brother, mentor, and role model to me during those formative years. Hence, a moment of silence should be observed as a mark of respect in his honor. May his soul rest in peace and rise in glory. Additional treasured friendships include Mr. Stephen Ferguson, Gregory Knowles, our deceased, Leroy Roxbury, Philip Anthony and Travis Stubbs, Patrick and Wayne Swaby, and Gregory Coakley, among others. The childhood memories shared still linger in one's heart. Likewise, recognition is rendered to my childhood newspaper pals, whom sold the Nassau Guardian and the Tribune together, us little boys and eventual adolescents, together along Shirley Street, Bay Street, Market Street, Blue Hill, and East Street. Blue Hill Road and East Street. Those memories will linger for a lifetime. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the enduring support of immediate and extended family members. To my deceased parents and grandparents, namely Minerva King and Jonathan Fox, Sarah Jane Queenie Fox and Gerald Fox, Francis Simonette and William Bill King, who were not able to witness this journey and moment, but whose love and wisdom shaped me, and I carry on your legacy with pride. To my aunts and uncles who assisted with my rearing as the eldest grandchild under my grandmother's care. Uncle Whitfield and my deceased uncles Eric, David, Peter, and Michael King. Aunts Florence Smith, Pauline Penniman, Sylvia Markey, and Teresita Rule. Thank you for your love and care you provided during my formative years and socialization period. Additionally, it is fitting to recognize other important family members, such as Aunt Carolyn Louise Pelicanos, deceased, Jederick and Euterpe Mullings, Jackie King, Stephanie King Barnett, Dawn King, Dr. Conville Brown, and Dr. Robin Roberts, Maria Pelicanos Forbes, Archie Pelicanos, and Princess Mullings. Your influence on my life remain as moral compasses in directing my path. Not to be excluded are my first cousins who shared childhood experience under our grandmother's care in Big Pond Subdivision. Renee, Bernice, Eddie, Shelley, Dion, Ednal, Kamika, Charlene, Kermit, Whitney, and Dario, among others. The bond formed will never be broken and will last for a lifetime. I also extend deepest gratitude to my immediate family members, sons Miska and Rinaldo Sr., deceased, adorable grandchildren, Conrad, Taniqua, Brenique, Rinaldo Jr., Tyreek, Shinaldo, and Leonaldo. More importantly, my dear wife of 34 years and the love of my life and life partner, Frederica Charmaine Clark King. You have been my rock. My fortress and my steadfast supporter throughout the journey. Your unwavering love, steadfast support, and belief in me have been the greatest gift of all. In summary, I take this moment to reflect on my career. I recall humble beginnings. I stand proudly as a product of the Black Belt communities, educated through the public school system, and worked as a newspaper boy from the tender age of 8 to support myself at the junction of Blue Hill and Wolf Roads until I graduated from C.C. Sweeting Senior High in 1984 and enlisted thereafter into this noble institution. As I exit the highest office in this distinguished military, I do so with a sense of pride in the work we have accomplished together. Concerted efforts were placed on my part to exemplify leadership qualities characterized by professionalism, integrity, and fairness, and a legacy of transformative leadership and progressive change, which will likely be defined by pundits as either the people's Commodore, a faithful steward, or simply as a servant of the people. Concluding, as I take my leave, I do so in knowing that I would be handing over this prestigious organization to capable hands. I offer prayers for the future of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. May the Almighty God bless the incoming Commander Defense Force, Commodore Floyd Moxey, his executive leadership, as well as the men and women who serve therein. I have no doubt that you will continue to uphold the finest military customs and traditions of this organization. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your commanding officer. May the Almighty God continue to bless the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And may our Heavenly Father bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I bid you farewell.
So obviously that was the final address from the outgoing Commodore Dr. Raymond King. 38 years serving here on the force. He will receive some gifts right now before he leaves. But basically, to me, his speech was thank you. He thanked a number of persons, starting with God. Obviously, his relationship with God was key. He thanked the staff. He thanked the Prime Minister, current and former Prime Minister Minis, for giving him the opportunity to serve. He also thanked the extraordinary men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, who he says exemplified dedication, discipline, and courage. And he told them they're the heartbeat of the organization. So what was your reaction, Commander Delavo, to his words of thanks and, I guess, experience and reflection?
Yes. 38 years, a very, very exhaustive list. And I would expect for it to be so after 38 years. Commodore would have started from his childhood, from his parents, grandparents, his family, his academic schooling with his colleagues who would have impacted him academically, to the organizations here, to childhood friends. It shows us that there is influence in every aspect of your life that helps you to be the leader that you are. And so it was fitting for him to acknowledge the influences and the impact of all of those persons, all those relationships that would have impacted his leadership.
Indeed. I paid a lot of attention to the speech that was articulated just now, and it appears that it was penned very thoughtfully and with great detail.
Yes.
I made an observation that provided a landmark for identifying that, and it is that when the Commander Defense Force would have acknowledged his childhood friends.
Yes.
That's another level of detail.
Yes.
In terms of his
respect and appreciation.
Indeed. And so, as Commander Delavo would have alluded to, the influence from every area of our development is always to be acknowledged and identified and appreciated. So where, obviously, in his case, Commander Raymond King, Commodore Raymond King, he has gathered all of those.
So I think we're preparing for the 3 chairs and the gun salute at this point.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Presentation of the gifts.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a time-honored tradition of 3 chairs and a gun salute. The 3 chairs symbolizes respect and admiration for the outgoing Commodore, while offering a warm welcome to our incoming Commodore.
Fanfare is a short piece of music played on brass instruments to announce someone or something important. 3 cheers is a ceremonial practice used to express respect, honor, and celebration. Gun salute is a military honor using artillery to show respect to someone of great importance. I wish to warn you that the gun salute will be slightly loud. Today, we honor and salute a visionary and transformative leader. Stand by for fanfare, 3 cheers, and a gun salute.
Millimeter howitzer.
Hooray!
It's a powerful artillery. A very powerful artillery piece. It's known for its range and accuracy, and it serves as a mark of respect and tribute.
And we see the officers with their caps extended.
And that explosive round that was represented, a salute to the outgoing Commander Defense Force and a declaration of the new leadership.
Hooray!
Guide the force forward. The sound of the howitzer echoes across the grounds, marking this significant occasion.
Hooray! Divisions and honor guard will now march off.
So powerful salute there.
Indeed.
So we were saying that we were expecting to hear from the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis.
Yes,
in
so
a few.
the second part of our program will take us into presentation of gifts and photographs. All right, so the parade is marching off to retire for a brief as we go through this segment. All right, so we would have heard the sound of honor and celebration. The 3 chairs is the sound of celebration. And the sound of the house and artillery is the sound of honor. And so we had a mixture of honor and celebration. All right, and that, of course, is to signify thank you and farewell.
So So would that mark then the closing of that chapter for Dr. King, and now we prepare to open a new chapter for the Commodore Designate Floyd Moxie.
And so the Prime Minister will come and address the guests and those who are here. And I guess he will say thank you to the outgoing and indicate the expectations for the incoming.
So a lot of planning goes into this. I just thought it was one seamless ceremony. I didn't know that there would be a break in between. Yes, to signal the departure and now the arrival. In a sense.
Yeah, it's like I would have said, practice makes perfect, you know, and this is what we do. This signifies order and discipline.
Indeed.
You know, structure. And when you understand its place, your organization is better. All right. There's a saying also that there's no learning without discipline. Discipline is the foundation for learning. And so for us, we have learned how to prepare and how to execute missions and activities at an extreme high level.
Yes.
And discipline allows for that. And so what you saw today was a high level, not only of preparation, but of discipline.
And it's exceedingly so, because this is a very important milestone. You're saying farewell to your former leader, who served here for, I believe, 5.5 years, if I'm correct. And now you're expecting a new leader to take over the reins here at HMBS Coral Harbor. So you would expect that everything would be as it should be for a military organization.
Well, we are demonstrating, Mr. Adams, and we are displaying our uniqueness. I know sometimes they refer to us as law enforcement, but we are full military.
Absolute full military, and we have a lot of occasions when persons are not quite sure who is the military of this this nation.
There's a question?
There should not be. There is one Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
The only
military in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
So you're making it clear. It's a clear distinction, and note here today is obviously a display of that.
Right.
And the Bahamian people ought to be proud of their only military organization.
They should be.
Our corporate Bahamas ought to be proud. I would have expected after today, those who would have witnessed this tremendous ceremony, they should be laying with the red carpet. You know, we need your support.
As you say, more work is definitely needed to be done. We see some of the vessels on the screen that I guess engage in your patrols and securing of our borders near and far.
You would see that those ships are dressed. We call that dressed with our phonetic alphabet. Of course, they are also ready for persons who might want to do a tour.
Okay.
All right. They might have never been on board a military installation, but have never boarded a military vessel before. All right. That is why it's painted gray. That's why it has painted numbers. All right. Very significant. And so that vessel not only represents the organization, that vessel represents the country. You know, and so we have some of the best vessels and best competent Marines and officers this part of the region.
Yes.
We have a product that we ought to be very, very proud of, Jimenito. And for the Bahamian people, they ought to know that their military men and their military women are highly trained.
Yes, they are.
And we will ensure that they will continue to be highly trained.
Well, we look forward to the Maritime Academy, I believe it is. I know you're definitely very excited about it. We see a shot of the Commodore Designate Floyd Moxie there, looking very smart in his dress, waiting his opportunity to address the audience and the military here to hear about his vision for what he plans to do when he takes over. He has been serving for a very, very long time here, just shy 2 years of the establishment of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. So I imagine he knows this base in and out in terms of the operations. He's a trained lawyer, so he's able to speak to a lot of policy and security decisions as well.
He would have constructed and reviewed and revised quite a bit of policies underneath Commodore Bo, Commodore Escobar, Commodore Tellus Bethel, and Commodore King. And so I would have worked hand in hand with him. In fact, I would have taken over the office of the Executive Officer of Central Command from him in 21. Where he was then promoted to captain and went to the ministry.
Yeah, I was just going to indicate that in October 2021, he was appointed legal counsel to the Ministry of National Security, where he advised the RBDF, Royal Bahamas Police Force, Bahamas Correctional Services, as well as the Parliamentary Registration Department, I believe. So he spent quite a number of years, not only here, but at the Ministry of National Security as well.
Yes. And so we stand fast. We stand at the ready, Mr. Adams, to see what Commodore Moxie will bring to the table. We stand at the ready.
And Bahamas, it is a pivotal moment in the ceremony. I think in just a few minutes we will witness the presentation of the instrument of appointment.
Yes. Now let me talk a little bit about that, because persons might not quite understand. Enlisted personnel serve under a contract. They have a 3 or 5 year contract. They're contractual. Officers, we serve on a commission. We have short career commissions, medium career commissions, full career commissions, SCC, MCC, SFCC. When you reach at the deputy or Commander Defense Force level, you serve on a short career commission. All right, 3 or 5 years. Presently, I serve under full career commission. I have no time in there. All right, and so my commission is indefinite until the GG says your services are no longer required. All right, so we have pensionable years. 25 years, I can retire with a pension. Okay. Otherwise than that, the commission is a very, very significant piece of document, and that is your instructions to command in the military. So every officer from the rank of sub-lieutenant and above receive a commission from the Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, from sub-lieutenant and above. The Commodore, or the Deputy Commander Defense Force, or the Commander Defense Force, Deputy Commander Defense Forces, they will receive a commission indicating their appointments as Deputy Commander Defense Force or as the Commander Defense Force. And so he will be receiving that instrument of authority, which is called a commission.
Let me see on the screen the Chief Justice sharing a moment with the Prime Minister. As we wait for the second half of this service, again, if you are just tuning in, we are having a live coverage of the changing of the guard here at HMBS Coral Harbor. They are installing a new Commodore in the person of Commodore Designate Captain Floyd Moxie. He has served in a number of capacities here, not only in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, but in the Ministry of National Security as well. And today he will assume the role of Commodore for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. We saw the first half of the ceremony where the outgoing Commodore, Dr. Raymond King, shared his words of thank you and tribute for his 38 years of service, the last 5.5 years serving as the Commodore. A lot has gone into preparing for this day, and it's a new chapter for the RBDF.
A new and exciting chapter. We look ahead for continued upward trajectory and some of the traditions to be maintained. And as we would have said earlier, it's just a transferring of authority, and so we expect the race to continue. There are no breaks. There are no breaks in the handing over, and so we expect the journey to be a successful one going forward.
And so far, it's been a smooth transition. We have a beautiful drone shot of HMBS Coral Harbor to see the expansion work that has taken place and to see what it actually means to be out here on the base.
Yes.
Doing what you do best. That is protecting and serving and guarding our borders.
The call to guard our heritage is a huge, tremendous one. And for every Marine, for every officer who answers the call to serve, their focus is what I call the big picture, which is, of course, to guard the heritage. And the heritage is not only our islands, our fishery products, our rocks and keys, but our culture, our people. You know, I'm privileged to have two sons here with me. They would have witnessed me going to sea. They would have witnessed me on deployment. They would have witnessed me coaching our basketball teams years ago. All right?
And they were inspired to serve as well.
Yes, apparently so. I tried to tell them, don't come, but Daddy, we won't come. And so they are here alongside me too, serving. You know, we have many second generation young men and young women who follow their father, follow their mother in service to God and country. You know, and so it is a beautiful thing, and that they would have captured the understanding and what it is to serve at this level. The late great father of the nation said, which one of us would deny this higher call to service?
And we see we were reflecting on the growth and the strength of the organization.
From about 300 to 400 fledgling now to 1,842 to about 7 departments to now we have more than 22 departments.
It's a lot of discipline and training.
Yes. Fit to fight. You know, these are the nation's sons and daughters.
Yes.
You know,
who've answered the call, as you so rightly expressed this morning.
Call to serve.
You know, and
I imagine a lot of training goes into preparing these officers and Marines.
Yes,
so
hours.
Fitness drills, you have combat training.
Drills. Yes, it's hours.
And I think this is the
HMS
Memorial Park.
Yes.
All right, and so it has a wall of remembrance, and then it also has the memorial to our fallen HMBS Flamengo. And so the park, of course, is a significant piece of real estate, right? And so if you would note that the fire is burning,
it's eternal
flame. It burns all of May, from the first day until to the end, in honor and respect to HMBS Flamengo and our fallen. Those who would have served and passed on, their names are also engraved and etched on the wall of remembrance. Okay, it's a very significant piece of military history.
And that incident marked the only combat action the RBDF has been involved in terms of
the loss of life.
Yes, loss of life.
And it underscored the inherent risks faced by Defense Force officers and Marines in the day-to-day process. And like we said, that was in the infancy stages of a newly formed Royal Bahamas Defense Force. I think it was back in March of 1980, and this happened in May of 1980. So that was a significant blow. So it demonstrated
on Mother's Day. It's
demonstrated the necessity for a robust and capable military presence to safeguard the nation's sovereignty.
Not only that, Jomanita, it also echoed extra call, that sound that went out, that cry that went out, stood up the entire nation, and we had men and women enlisting from all over the nation, wanting to come and serve. And you know, and it speaks to to the men and women of this nation understanding national pride, national identity, and not only sovereignty, but the fact that this is my nation.
Yes.
This is my country, and I'm willing to pay the price and protect it and defend it.
And as you mentioned, in the aftermath of that incident, a number of steps would have been taken by the government to remember those fallen. As you mentioned, the Memorial Park that is there. And there's also an annual ceremony held every year to commemorate those men. So we see it's a very important time for us to reflect in the coming days on the HMBS Flamingo incident.
And that ceremony will take place on this coming Saturday, right here at the Flamingo Memorial Park on board the HMBS Coral Harbor Bridge.
And those who lost their lives would have been Able Seaman Fenric Stirrup, Marine Seaman Austin Rudolph Smith, Marine Seaman David Allison Tucker, and Marine Seaman Edward Arnold Williams, all of them ranging in age from 21 to 23, young, capable, dynamic men. We had an opportunity to speak to Captain Fernley Palmer a few days ago, and I understand a lot of the newly enlisted persons would have been a part of the Boys Brigade. At that time.
So 14 Bahamas Boys Brigade.
The 14 companies. So a lot of history, a lot of experience, a lot of respect to those who decide to serve and to, in some instances, as the HMBS Flamingo, make the ultimate sacrifice in protecting their country.
You know,
everyone please be seated.
The stronger your military is, the stronger your nation.
Yes.
And the strength of your nation is your young men and women. You know, it's like, call you young men because you are what? Strong.
And if we have another reflection from Dr. King, he talks about his most memorable experience or experiences while serving. So we'll take a look at that before we hear from the Prime Minister
of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip E. Davis, KC, followed by medal presentations.
Good morning to all. We acknowledge the presence of the Governor General, the Most Honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt, the Chief Justice of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Sir Ian Winder, my Deputy Prime Minister and his lovely wife, Chester Cooper, the former Prime Ministers present, Ingram, Christie, and Minnis, the leader of the opposition, if he's here, my cabinet colleagues. What we are gathered to mark today is both simple and deeply significant. The transfer of command from one leader to another, a gesture of continuity, of trust, and of shared responsibility. In institutions like the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, these moments matter. They are a quiet affirmation that service is never about the individual, but about the role. The uniform remains even when the person changes. And through that continuity, a country like ours, made up of small islands and big challenges, holds firm. Today, we pay tribute to Commodore Raymond King, a man who, over the course of his command, faced circumstances no leader would have chosen. The aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, the shock of a global pandemic, and a growing tide of transnational crime in our region. In quieter times, a commander may be able to plan carefully, to respond methodically. Commodore King had no such luxury. He had to act decisively, practically, with limited resources and under pressure. And he did so with clarity, intelligence, and restraint. He crafted a maritime security strategy that made sense, clear in its goals, coherent in its logic, and effective in its results. He focused the force on three things: understanding the domain, controlling it, and when necessary, asserting its authority over it. That may sound abstract, but the impact was anything but. Illegal weapons, narcotics, and vessels were intercepted. Our vulnerable borders were secured. And across our waters, the rule of law and national sovereignty were maintained. But more than that, and this is where I think his legacy is most notable, Commodore King understood that a defense force is not only a shield, but also a teacher, a model, a presence in the life of the nation. He took seriously the obligation to serve, not just as protector, but as guide. And so, under his watch, the RBDF extended itself into the community through youth programs, mentorship, and partnerships that reached thousands of young Bahamians everywhere. The Rangers, Program Shore, the National Youth Guard, these were not side projects. They were central to his view of what it means to serve, to build a resilience, not just in the force, but in the country. And he understood that if we expect service members to give their best, we must also give something in return: better health care, fair pensions, decent working conditions. He helped to deliver those reforms. So I offer him my thanks on behalf of the government, on behalf of the Bahamian people, and I offer thanks to his wife, retired Force Chief Petty Officer Frederica King. You have served too, quietly, without ceremony, but with strength. Thank you. Now to Captain Floyd Moxey. Captain Moxey is, in many ways, the model of what public service ought to look like. Not glamorous, not boastful, but honest, professional, thoughtful. He started out as a marine mechanic in Mangrove Key, Andros. He worked his way up across 40 years of service, mastering technical operations, legal frameworks, and the complex workings of a national security policy. His depth of experience matters. He has seen the force from every angle, on the deck, in the courtroom, behind the policy desk. That kind of knowledge can't be faked, and it will serve him well in the difficult months and years ahead. We live in an increasing, unpredictable world, with pressures on our environment, our borders, and our institutions. A commander today must navigate all this and do so with judgment and care. I'm confident Captain Moxey will do just that, and he will not do it alone. For today also marks a historic development. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force will now have two deputy commanders, Captain Colin Bethel and Captain Natasha Miller. Captain Miller is the first woman to hold such a senior operational role in the force. And I hope we can pause on that for just a moment, because it is not simply about gender or precedent. It is about the evolution of an institution. And it's an institution that now recognizes fully and finally that talent and leadership are not limited to gender. Captain Miller's appointment is not symbolic. It is the result of preparation, performance, and principle. And it continues the work begun by Commodore King through the Gender Optimization Policy, a document that sounds technical, but in practice means this: fairness, transparency, and opportunity for all. There is a deeper point here. We modernize not just by acquiring new vessels or installing new systems, though these are important. We modernize when we act with moral clarity, when we widen access, when we show every Bahamian that their future in this country is not limited by background, by gender, or by geography. That is what today signals, quietly but firmly. So I say this to every young woman watching, and to every young man: you have a place here. If you're willing to serve, to learn, to lead, your country will make room for you. To the men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, your job is not easy. Much of it goes unseen, often unthanked. But you represent the line between order and chaos, between security and vulnerability. That line must be held with discipline, with dignity, and with resolve. And you do it every day, without fanfare, often in the background, but never in the shadows. You are here, in your own way, a quiet pillar of the state. I want you to know that your government sees you, your government supports you, and expects from you always the highest standard, because the country depends on it. To Commodore King, thank you again for your service. You have led with calm in crisis and principle in practice. To Captain Moxie, I have every confidence in your leadership. You know this institution, and you understand the balance between strength and humility. To the Defense Force, your work is essential, your role respected, and your future, if led with the same quiet strength as we see today, will be secure. May God guide you in your service, and may He bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Preparation, performance, and principle.
We will now have the medal presentations. We invite the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to distribute the medals, please. Can the members of the Multinational Security Support Mission Contingent please stand and come forward? Lieutenant Commander Alan Dixon. Acting Lieutenant Commander Natasha Woods Walton. Y'all please clap them up. These people been to Haiti to represent us. Senior Lieutenant Denzel Marsh. Force Chief Petty Officer Perry Colebrook. Able Seaman Ronaldo Antonor. We also recognize Lieutenant Commander Clinton Johnson, who could not be here today with us. Thank you very much. We can do better than that. Awesome service to country. We will now have a presentation of instrument of appointment. We invite Commander Defense Force Designate and request Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Cynthia A. Pratt. To the dais, please. We request the dais, please. We will now have an address by our brand new Commander Defense Force, Commodore Floyd Paul Moxey.
Good morning. With all protocols having been duly observed by previous speakers, Your Excellency, I seek your permission to proceed with my remarks. To whom much is given, much will be required. These words from the Gospel of Luke reminds me daily that leadership is both an honor and a solemn responsibility. Therefore, first and foremost, I wish to begin by giving thanks and praise to Almighty God for his guiding hand in my life and for the privilege of standing before you at this higher calling. I extend my deepest gratitude to my family, my beloved wife, Teresa, my children, who is here today, Marcus, Maurice, Teresa, whose unwavering support, sacrifice, and encouragement have strengthened me on this journey. I am also a proud grandfather, blessed by the love of my growing family. Firstly, let me express my thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Philip Brave Davis, and the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Mr. Wayne Monroe. I am proudly grateful to the government of the Bahamas for entrusting me with the stewardship of this remarkable institution at such a pivotal time in our history. I am deeply honored and humbled to accept the responsibility of leading the Royal Bahamas Defense Force into its next chapter. It is with a profound sense of duty and a deep appreciation for the legacy laid by those before me that I stand here today. We are all stewards in our time, called to build upon the sacrifices and achievement of those who came before us. I am but one link in a long and unbroken chain of service, bound together by the commitment, discipline, and sacrifice of those who served before me. To the former Commodores, senior officers, mentors, and all those named and unnamed, who have shaped both the legacy of this force and my own professional journey, I extend my sincerest respect. You have set a standard of excellence, and I am determined to honor and build upon the foundation you have laid. At this juncture, I wish to offer my sincere gratitude to Commodore Dr. Raymond King for his exemplary leadership and steadfast dedication to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Commodore King has guided the force through times of challenge and transformation, ensuring its operational readiness and safeguarding its reputation as a pillar of national security. His commitment to the welfare and development of our officers and Marines has left an indelible mark on this institution. On behalf of the entire force, I thank him for his service and his tireless devotion to duty. We wish Commodore King the very best in his future endeavors, confident that his legacy will inspire generations to come. Today marks a historic milestone for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. As we move forward for the very first time in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force history, with two Deputy Commander Defense Forces who shall both serve at my side. A testament to the complexity and continued growth of our force. I am proud to stand with Captain Natasha Miller and Captain Colin Battle, whose combined experience, vision, and integrity will be invaluable as we chart a new course together. I wish to offer special recognition to Captain Natasha Miller, who makes history as the first woman to hold a sustained position in our force. Her achievement is a beacon for every young woman in our ranks and across our country, reminding us that there are no limits to what can be achieved in service to our nation. Like many Bahamians, my story began in a community where values were lived out daily: discipline, respect, faith, and a sense of duty to one another. The early lesson learned from my family and the people of Mangrove Key, which is the gem of Andros, shaped my resolve to serve. I learned that greatness is not found in personal achievement, but in the willingness to stand for a cause greater than oneself. In reflecting on the weight of leadership and service, I am often reminded of a timeless naval principle. And this is something that I learned as an officer at the United States Coast Guard Academy. And it is one that resonates far beyond uniform or rank. It captures the essence of duty, integrity, and the balance required of those entrusted to lead. And it says, on the sea, there's a tradition older even than the traditions of the country itself, and wiser in its age than this new custom. It is the tradition that with responsibility goes authority, and with them both goes accountability. That principle is not just etched in tradition, it has been etched into my life. It has guided my every step, shaped my convictions, and reminded me, through calm seas and storms alike, what it really means to lead. My journey with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force began in 1982 as a proud member of New Entry 11, joining a cohort united by our commitment to country and service. Over the years, I have been privileged to serve in a variety of capacities, on land and at sea, in technical, operational, and command roles, from radio and radar technician to commanding officer, from staff officer to legal counsel. I have seen the force grow, overcome challenges, and rise to every occasion. Among these experiences, I have learned the true value of teamwork, integrity, and resilience. I was also privileged to further my education in law and to serve as a legal advisor at the highest level. These experiences broadened my understanding of justice, leadership, and the interconnections between defense, policy, and national development. Returning to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force after serving in the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of National Security, I have been granted a unique perspective on how our force is woven into the fabric of national life. Today, I return to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force at a time of great transition and promise. We stand at a crossroads, a moment when the baton is being passed to a new generation of leaders and Marines. Our force is younger, more technologically skilled, and more diverse than ever before. You, the men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, bring fresh ideas, bold questions, and a determination to serve at the highest standard. You challenge us as leaders to be better, and that is as it should be. Our nation stands at the threshold of unprecedented change, facing threats that are more complex, dynamic, and unpredictable than ever before. Yet, with these challenges lies the greatest opportunity of our generation to shape not only the security of the Bahamas, but its future. Officers, warrant officers, reservists, veterans, rangers, my vision is clear. With the support of the government of the Bahamas and the Ministry of National Security, we will optimize excellence by bridging generation and embracing modernization. I will say this again. We will optimize excellence by bridging generations and embracing modernization. It is my intent to align with the will of the government of the Bahamas to forge a defense force that is modern, resilient, and forward-looking. A force that honors tradition, but is not bound by it. That invests in people as our greatest asset, and that stands as a model of professionalism, innovation, and integrity for our region and the world. We will build a culture where excellence is not the exception, but the expectation. We will foster unity, discipline, and courage, ensuring that every officer, warrant officer, Marine, and civilian staff is empowered to grow, to lead, and to serve with pride. Let me share the immediate priorities for this new chapter. 1, modernization and technology. We will digitize our personnel records, upgrade intelligence and surveillance system, and ensure that the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is equipped for the challenge of a modern security environment. 2, operational readiness. We will enhance patrol rotation. We will establish small boat station in strategic location and ensure our operations are intelligence-driven and forward-looking. 3, training, talent, and inclusion. We will launch Train the Trainer program. We will recruit quality and skill and ensure every member, regular or reserve, has the opportunity to develop. New family support and financial literacy workshops will roll out within months. 4, discipline and accountability. The implementation of new policies like the court-martial system will reinforce the values that makes us strong. 5, welfare and morale. We will improve and enhance the welfare and morale department. An anonymous feedback system and a new family support event will honor the sacrifice and commitment of every officer, Marine, and family. 6, logistics, engineering, and airwing. We will secure sustainable maintenance contracts, move to a predictive supply model, and invest in new pilots, mechanics, and unmanned aerial vehicle technology. 7, partnership and intelligence. We will deepen interagency cooperation, especially with our U.S. and our regional partners, and support this work with a new intelligence facility. But none of these goals can be accomplished by leadership alone. They will require every one of us, officers, warrant officers, Marines, reservists, veterans, support staff, and families working together with discipline and unity of purpose. Let me speak directly to you, the men and women of this great defense force. You are the living spirit of this institution. Your dedication, professionalism, and willingness to go above and beyond have shaped the Royal Bahamas Defense Force into what it is today. To the families, the silent strength behind every officer and Marine, your sacrifices do not go unnoticed. We share this moment and we share this future with you. As I conclude, I urge us all to rise to meet this moment with courage, discipline, and unity. Let us show that history is not made by a few at the top, but by the daily dedication of every single person in this defense force. Together, we will set a new standard for what is possible. I thank all of you again my Savior, my family, the government of the Bahamas, the ranks and rates of the force, and all supporting team members, and ask for your prayers and support as we set about optimizing excellence by bridging generation and embracing modernization. May the Lord bless the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you.
Well, that was now serving Commodore Captain Floyd Moxey, the new Commodore for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. His first address to everyone, including the Marines and enlisted officers. What's your take, Commander Delaware?
Yes, well, let me first say, speak to the Prime Minister's address. He would have highlighted some very important developments under his tenure with Commodore King. Talked about the youth guard and youth development, and he makes a special note of the optimization policy and, of course, the appointment of our first female deputy commander of the Defense Force, in that of Natasha Miller. Of course, Colin Bethel, the next deputy, and then, of course, to Commodore now, Floyd Moxey, who represents what the public service is all about, starting as a Marine seaman and working 40 years in the system and now achieving the top position in the organization. And so it is a tremendous day for all young men and women in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as it relates to Natasha Miller and to Commodore Floyd Moxey. In his speech, he indicated a very significant thing. He's humble and he's privileged to serve, witnessing initial stages of the development of this organization to now where it is at. He highlighted the fact that the men and women are wiser, younger, they are more prepared because they are more developed. And so he's proud and privileged to lead us in this time.
What about you, Chief Petty Officer? What was your take on the first address from now your new Commodore?
What I was happy to see, going back to the address by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, I was happy to see that we gave recognition by way of presentation of medals to the multinational security force contingent that returned from Haiti just a few days ago. They would have served approximately 6 months in Haiti. And another first is in that mix, in that we had our first female deployed in such an exercise in the person of Lieutenant Commander Natasha Walton Woods. And we're happy that they're back safe. We have another contingent on the ground in Haiti, but it's always good to recognize the service, a distinguished service of our men and women of the organization. And so it was interesting to see that we had a well-balanced, not only speech, but also not ever forgetting the service of our men and women. The Commodore Moxey, I am confident that we will continue on the road to success. He brings a fresh dynamic, and I think he would identify a lot that is necessary in terms of our legislation, our footprint within the international arena as it relates to military issues and presence. And so I am optimistic for the journey that we have set ahead.
And he acknowledged the fact that he joins a long line of unbroken chain of service in terms of reflecting on the former Commodores that have served before him. So he now continues that line of service to the organization. He also thanked the outgoing Commodore for his service as well. And he reflected on the fact that he has set a standard of excellence, and he would continue to build on that foundation that's already set. So a continuity, as you would have it, in service.
It's very important, Jomanita, very important that excellence is sustained, and the leader has a responsibility. He mentioned something that we would have learned at Officer Candidate School three distinct pillars of accountability, responsibility, and authority. And so he has authority now, he has responsibility, and he has accountability. And your leadership edges on those things. And so in understanding performance, Commodore King came in and he would have built on prior visions from Bo, and Bo built on, Talis Bethel, and Talis Bethel built on Bo's, and Bo's built on Scavalas, and Scavalas built on Davy Roll, and that's how it is. That's how we build the ship. That's how the ship gets stronger. We are standing on the shoulders of those before us. And so it's very important. That's succession.
Right. It's a very critical component to understand that the succession is a transfer of the authority in terms of the command in this case, but it's also a transfer of the mission. The mission always continues. The mission is sustainable in terms of the success of it. And so each Commodore brought their unique dynamics into the leadership of the to where the Defense Forces at this particular time. And so I think everyone was significant, and I believe that it must be observed that Commodore Floyd Moxey will have his part to play, and I think he would do it effectively during his tenure here in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force as Commodore.
And for the last few moments, we've been entertained by the world famous, I should say.
Yes, indeed.
Royal Bahamas Defense Force Pop Band,
Right.
Marching band.
The marching, my apologies.
Marching band.
Marching band putting on quite a display here for the new Commodore and the guests here, just showing what they do best.
Right. Well, you know, the band is not just a sound of entertainment, but it's a sound of discipline. And so when you hear that, you should want to move to the sweetness of the music, but it also calls you to attention.
So we are going to take in some of the sweetness of the music. We won't rob our audience of that. So we're going to take it in.
We can do better than that. This is the best band on this side of heaven. We invite Commander Defense Force, Commodore Floyd Moxey, to the dais. As the honor guard will be marched on for the inaugural salute to Commodore Floyd Moxey.
Official inaugural salute to the new Commodore Floyd Moxey by the officers of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. So a lot happening, a new chapter underway here. And I know a proud moment for the HMBS Coral Harbor, where all of this activity is happening here. We see the march on taking place right now.
Yes. This ceremonial salute is a very powerful symbol as a testament to his new role and the authority he now carries as Commander of the Defense Force.
This is his first, the inaugural salute as the Commander of the Defense Force. So this is history, all right? And so the honor guard is coming on now, and they will, in short order, give Commodore Moxey his proper marks of respect.
Indeed. It also stands as he stands before his fellow men and women, right? That's the members of the organization. And in this movement, it signifies also the commitment to lead with integrity and honor.
So we're now getting into formation for this inaugural salute.
Yes.
Now he will also be presented with a sword and a pennant, marking his appointment as the commander for the Defense Force.
The honor guard will now march off.
The first pennant is the GG's pennant, the Governor General's pennant. Second pennant in the country belongs to the Prime Minister of the Crown of the Bahamas. Third pennant is that of our military leader, Commodore, or the Commander of the Defense Force.
What's the significance of the sword, if I may ask?
Pennant?
The significance of the sword and the pennant.
Okay, the sword, of course, is your instrument. All officers carry swords. And, of course, that is to show your command. All right? The pennant, the military leader has the status of what we call flag officer. And so he has his own flag. And so when the Commander of the Defense Force enters any military installation, the flag is raised to signify to the entire base or installation that your military leader is on board. And so this is a military tradition. All over the world, this is how militaries are run, and your flag officer is that of Commodore and above, not captain. It's Commodore and above. So your Commodore, Admiral, General, they have pennants.
Dr. Raymond E. King.
Okay, and so
now present Commodore
persons when he's in the car. When I was the Commander of the Defense Force many years ago, we know that the Commander of the Defense Force is on board that vehicle when we saw the flag.
Description of the acronym CDF and a diagram of the Commodore's pennant. The Commodore's pennant is a flag given to all flag officers, and in this case, the flag officer is Commander Defense Force.
So you were mentioning about the flag, obviously being exchanged there.
So it's a part of the handover.
Yes.
All of those instruments and accoutrements and symbols, they all have significant meaning, authority.
And we see Dr. King extending the flag now to the new Commodore Moxie, who has accepted it.
Very significant, and it is a symbol. The symbol sends signals. Like I said, once he's on board, it raises as a signal.
See a handshake, it's the transfer of authority there.
Yes. And I would think they would have exchanged.
We will now have the March past.
Relieve you, sir. I stand
we invite
relieved.
Her Excellency, the Governor General, Commander Defense Force, Commodore Floyd Moxie, and Commander Defense Force retired, Dr. Raymond E. King, to the dais.
The march past is a breathtaking display of discipline and pride. As Her Excellency mounts the dais, the Governor General, along with Commodore Moxie and Commodore Retired, takes their post.
So again, earlier on, we discussed the different units and platoons that are part of the March Past. Can you refresh so people understand what's happening at this point?
So when we have divisions, of course, outlines the structure of the organization on the parade, departments, branches, etc. This change of command, of course, would have been structured via ranks and rates. All right, and so we would have had some 9 platoons, 10 platoons on parade, all right, along with our warrant officers and our senior officers, all right, observing the day's proceedings. All right, we also would have had on parade some of our reservists. You would note that some of them are wearing red.
Yes.
All right, and so we would have had 3 reserve officers who would have recently graduated, of course, last year, July, I think it was. Yes. All right, and so they're also on parade. All right, so this is very significant. Right now, they're doing the March Past, all right, which is really the final, right, and last marks of respect to Her Excellency and Commodore designated, Commodore now, Floyd Moxley, and of course our outgoing Commodore King. Now he will retain the title Commodore. All right, he will always be Commodore King. All right, and so that title, he retains that until life ends.
So each platoon has completed, basically they complete their March Past and
Right.
they reassemble, or that's it?
Well, that is it now. This is the march off. All right, and so today's proceedings is now done. I would have hoped that the Bahamas would have enjoyed what they would have seen and heard today. It is history. And when we look back, maybe 50 years down the road, they can say, well, I witnessed the exchanging of command between Commodore King and Commodore Floyd Moxley.
Well, final thoughts, gentlemen? Want to give us your final thoughts?
Well, today was indeed an historical event. I'm happy to be a part of it and happy to share with the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We're happy to have all of our distinguished guests on board, along with our veterans and also the families of the persons that serve in our military. We thank you for your support, Bahamas. We welcome your support, like the commander said earlier. You had an opportunity to witness the grandeur of military life. It is our pleasure to serve this Commonwealth, and it's our honor. So we thank the nation for allowing us to be servants to guard our heritage.
And as we indicated, a very historic and momentous day here at HMBS Coral Harbor. We have the outgoing Commodore. You now have a new Commodore, which means a new chapter here at the HMBS Coral Harbor. And of course, you mentioned earlier that on May 10th, in the next few days, we will also reflect on the sacrifices of the HMBS Flamingos. That will be an upcoming event that we will look forward to attending as well. So one chapter closes and a new one is established and opened.
Germinator, this is what makes us military. Everything is done in decency and in order. Ceremonial, traditions, customs, courtesies. This is what makes us different. All right? And so what we observed today, what was demonstrated today in an orderly fashion, in a ceremonial fashion, is what makes us military. All right? And so we are excited about our future underneath Commodore Floyd Moxley.
Well, I want to say a special thank you to you, Commander Delaveau, and to you, Chief Petty Officer Adams, for joining me on the broadcast this morning. I'm sure the Bahamas was enriched by the information you provided. So this was a seamless presentation and understanding of the insides of this change of command ceremony here that took place. So I want to say a special thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. And on behalf of Commodore Floyd Moxley,